To find out that there is this individual allegedly involved with the base, which is probably the most violent of the groups out there, I'm not shocked. What shocks me more is the lackadaisical attitude that's being taken by the Canadian military in dealing with this.
You saw the military police report earlier this year that said there was a very low percentage overall in forces. Do you buy that? Do you think it's a much bigger problem than they are admitting?
Well, my guess is that it is a much bigger problem, but let us assume for a moment that it's a small number. Well, what's a small number? 30, 40, 50? They say 50 is a small number. Well, then how many of those 50 who are inclined violently might actually take action based on the training that they've received in the Canadian military? Really, all we need is one person. We know that they've identified upwards to 50 violent white supremacists amongst the military ranks, and we have no clue at all what they're doing with them. Does that mean, for example, that they've identified them and put them on leave, on administrative leave? Have they taken them out of the military? There's no plan. That we don't know anything, and the fact of the matter is they constitute a clear and present danger, and it's up to the Minister of Defence to take action and to let Canadians know what action is being taken so we can get some level of comfort from there. Right now, I have no level of comfort. I've been involved in dealing with neo-Nazis and white supremacists for 3 decades. To me, this is the most dangerous and scariest time that I can ever recall. What about all the other reports? What about the other 50 or so members of Atomwaffen, of Hammerskins, of Soldiers of Odin, allegedly still in the Canadian military? Have they taken decisive action against them? And here's the interesting thing as well. We're into an election cycle. So not only have we not heard from the defense minister, we've not heard from the leader of the opposition, we've not heard from the leader of the third party, we've not heard from the leader of the Green Party. Can you imagine for a moment if 50 members of ISIS were identified as getting military training and members of the Canadian military? We would probably have a national nervous breakdown. And yet for white supremacists, who, by the way, have murdered dozens and dozens of Canadians and Americans in our synagogues, in our mosques, and in our churches and on the streets, we seem to be very lackadaisical about it, especially the military, and that's not acceptable. It's simply not acceptable. I would like to ask the Minister of Defence straight out, what are you doing about neo-Nazis and white supremacists in the military? Tell the Canadian people. Don't tell us that you're investigating. Don't tell us that you don't stand for racism. That's great. What are you doing about the neo-Nazis and white supremacists in the military?